Hey everybody and welcome back. My name is Derek. Today is January 29th, 2019. In this video, I'm going to talk about the story that came out of Houston, Texas from last night, in which 5 Houston police officers are said to have been injured in a shootout with 2 suspects who they were raiding for selling heroin. Now, what we're going to be talking about on this channel is numerology with a focus on the language of Gematria, the ancient practice of coding numbers into words. The 2 ciphers you need to understand that are most significant are the English ordinal cipher in the top left. In this method, each letter is numbered 1 through 26 relative to its position in the alphabet. In the full reduction method, each double-digit number is reduced to a single digit using the rules of numerology. This method, also called Pythagorean or Agrippin Gematria. And when you type out the names of cities, names, dates, you find some very strange alignments with dates on the calendars, and we'll explain how this works as the video goes along. Again, if you look at my channel, all of these techniques that I'm using are very consistent. So we're going to look at things like the dates that local politicians took office. This event occurring in Houston, we'll look at the mayor of Houston and the governor of Texas. Also, the dates that Houston and Texas were founded. So first, let's start off with today's date numerology. On gematrinator.com, there is a date calculator page. And if you go there and look at today's date, January 29th, you'll see the 2 primary numerologies on top. The first one is called full numerology, 1 plus 29 plus 20 plus 19 equals 69. The next number is the life lesson number, which is 42. In this raid, it's said that heroin dealers were being targeted. Notice how heroin also sums to 69 in the alphabetic order and 42 in the reduction method. In the last part of this video, I'm going to be talking about how this event is related to solar eclipses. The police in this nation, in almost every police department nationwide, run by Freemasonry, or controlled by Masonic elements. And here's just a couple pictures on the left side of your screen showing state police, highway patrol with Masonic emblems on their patches. And if you're familiar with my work, you may understand by now that Freemasonry really loves solar eclipses. Down in the description below, I have a post linked regarding the numerology of the founding of Freemasonry in 1717 and how it was related to a very significant solar eclipse that went over London, where the first Masonic lodge was. And to this very day, mainstream news stories of questionable veracity are often coded out by this language of gematria, dates on the calendar, and we'll continue to see how this works. There's 2 other large number ciphers that I teach on this channel. These are called English Extended and Jewish Gematria, which is based on the Latin alphabetic order. Both of these ciphers produce much larger numbers than the ordinal and reduction methods that we see in the base 4. And it's interesting that the word heroin, summing to 69, 192, and 222, also 42 in reduction, the word eclipse has these same numbers, 69, 192, and 222. In regards to the 69, this story takes place in the state of Texas, which equals 69. And keep in mind, the next total solar eclipse that will pass over the United States of America in 2024 begins in the state of Texas. But back at the today's date numerology, we're looking at 42. Heroin equals 42. Eclipse equals 42. The word Freemason has gematria of 42. In fact, Masonry, with the S exception, also summing to 42. So think about the fact that 5 officers were injured in this case. Nobody died, apparently. The only 2 deaths were the suspects who were targeted by the investigation. Well, the reason this stands out is because 5, when you write it out, has a gematria value of 42. This story takes place in Houston, Texas. In the reverse reduction method, Houston TX equals 42. But what stands out about this especially is that the 42nd prime number is 181. And in this study of numerology, you must understand that prime number relationships are of utmost significance. And when you write out Houston, Texas, using the alphabetic order, you get 181, the 42nd prime number. Again, looking at this special number, 42. 42 is not a prime number, obviously, because it's an even number. But we do want to look at the prime factorization of 2 times 3 times 7. The city of Houston was founded on the date June 5th, way back in 1837. And the reason this is interesting is because if you measure from the date of the shooting to the date that Houston was established, you find it's exactly 237 days. In the reverse alphabetic order, police officers equals 237. So we mentioned how Houston, Texas sums to 181. This is the 42nd prime number. Because Houston was established in the year 1837, it's currently 181 years old. And if you take the date of this news story, January 29th, and measure to the next anniversary of Houston, it's 18 weeks and 1 day. But here's where it gets very interesting. Now we're going to look at the mayor of Houston, who is Sylvester Turner, and the governor of Texas. Anytime there's a major news event, a false flag attack, it's going to be aligned with local politicians and the dates on which they took office. And perhaps no example is better than this one. First, let's look at the word conspiracy, which equals 123. You may recall I just did a video yesterday and talked about a shooting at a SunTrust bank in Sebring, Florida. That occurred on the date 123. The shooting was at 12:30 p.m. The police chief in Sebring, Florida was named Carl Hoagland, which sums to 123. And the mayor of Sebring, Florida was named John Scoop. That sums to 123. Just like the word conspiracy. These conspiracies being carried out right under our noses, you just have to know how to look for it. So notice how conspiracy equals 123 in the alphabetic order. Sylvester Turner took office on January 2nd of 2016. Measuring to the date of the shooting, we find this was his 1,123rd day in office. Is this a coincidence? Well, what about his birthday, September 27th, 1954? If we measure from September 27th to the date of the shooting, we get 123 days. Again, just like the ordinal value of conspiracy. But now we're going to look at the reverse alphabetic order. In this method, Z gets the value of 1, Y is 2, through A is 26. Now we look at Greg Abbott. This man is the governor of Texas. He took office on January 20th of 2015. That means the shooting was his 1,470th day in office. Now in numerology, the zeros are ignored, so this number represents a 147, just like the reverse value of conspiracy. And in our most significant big number cipher, notice how the word police equals 147. The police involved with Freemasonry. Freemason equals 147. It's the numerical knowledge, both of these words summing to 147, that's used to carry these conspiracies out. So we're talking about 123, 147, the values of conspiracy. We'll look at the names of the suspects in this case. The first one is Dennis Tuttle. The next one is Rogina Nicholas. And look at their values in the reduction methods. Dennis Tuttle and Rogina Nicholas sums to 123 in reduction, and 147 in reverse reduction, the same two numbers that are coded into the number of days that both the mayor and governor have been in office. So now let's look a little more closely at the numerology of the Texas governor, Greg Abbott. This guy's numerology is really something else. First of all, notice how he was born in the year 57. 57 is a number associated with the moon. The moon ranges 28.5 degrees north and south of the ecliptic, meaning it has an overall range of 57 degrees. And using the alphabetic order, moon sums to 57. So not only was he born in 57, in Hebrew Gematria, the word for the moon sums to 223. And I do have some foreign Gematria. This practice of Gematria originated in the Hebrew and Greek languages. Notice how the phrase for the moon sums to 223. Well, the reason this stands out is because Greg Abbott's full name is Gregory Wayne Abbott, which sums to 223 in the alphabetic order and 2,230 in the Jewish Gematria cipher. These methods related, or not that related, so this alignment is very, very interesting. How about the fact that he's the 48th governor of Texas? 223 is the 48th prime number. And this man coded with the number 223, numbers of the moon. It should be known that the word hoax has an ordinal value of 48. And let's look at the amazing alignments with Greg Abbott on this date. So as we saw, he took office on January 20th of 2015, meaning that on the date of this shooting, he had been in office for 4 years, 8 days. Think about how the word Freemason also has a value of 48. But next, we measure to Houston's anniversary. Remember, June 5th was the date that Houston was established. If we measure to the next date written, the next June 5th, from the date of the shooting, it's 4 months, 8 days. Now, what about the date that Texas was admitted to the Union? Texas was admitted to the Union on the date December 29th. If you measure from the date of the shooting to December 29th, you get exactly 48 weeks. And look at the numerology of the date of the shooting. 1 plus 28 plus 19, we get 48. How is this all possible if this is just a normal natural event that just occurred randomly and organically? I say it's very unlikely. I say that we're looking at a numerical ritual played out through the idiot box, seen on the television by everybody in the nation. And very few people realize that, or the degree to which we're being fed lies. Also looking at Greg Abbott's birthday of November 13th, notice how the shooting fell a span of exactly 77 days after his birthday. The shooting occurred in Houston. Houston has a reverse value of 77. The phrase police shooting equals 77. So 77 days after his birthday, we get a police shooting in Houston, which both sum to 77. In fact, police officer also 77. And do you remember back in 2016, on the date 7/7, 5 officers were killed in the city of Dallas, which is also in the state of Texas, which Greg Abbott presides over as governor. By the way, one of the suspects, Regina Nicholas, that name sums to 77. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned how eclipses are significant to Freemasonry. The word eclipse summing to 42, like the date numerology of the news story. 5 equals 42, a number connected to Houston, Texas. When abbreviated, Houston, Texas has this value of 42 in reverse reduction, but let's look at the alphabetic order, perhaps the most significant cipher of the 4 that you see. When abbreviated, Houston, Texas equals 156. And this is interesting for a really good reason. See how the Hebrew word for eclipse? This has a value of 156 in Hebrew Gematria. And this number is not arbitrary. Eclipses only occur, or I should say only and always occur, either 1, 5, or 6 lunar months apart from one another. And this number is attributed in English too. Think about how eclipse equals 33 in reduction. 33 equals 156 using the alphabetic order. And if you measure until the next total solar eclipse, which falls on the date July 2nd, 2019, we find that this shooting was a span of exactly 156 days before that eclipse. How interesting is that? Remember, it's high levels of Freemasonry that deliver us our fake news. This event is also related to both Great American Total Solar Eclipses from 2017 and the next one in 2024. First off, notice how the date of this incident in Houston took place 1 year, 5 months, and 8 days after the last eclipse. Freemasonry equals 158. What I should also point out about the phrase Freemasonry, in reduction it sums to 58 and 59. And look at the age of the two victims. Dennis Tuttle, 58. I'm sorry, Rogina Nicholas, 58. Dennis Tuttle, 59. If we measure to the next Great American Total Solar Eclipse in 2024, we find it's exactly 271 weeks away. 271 is a prime number. 271 is the 58th prime number, to be exact. And Freemasonry equals 58 in reduction. Finally, I just want to touch on the gematria of the first suspect's name, Dennis Tuttle. See how this sums to 46 in reduction? Houston, Texas equals 46 in reduction. The name Dennis Tuttle also equals 161. The shooting 161 days after the anniversary of the last eclipse. That last eclipse in 2017 was exactly 525 days before the shooting. The name Tuttle equals 525 in Jewish gematria. So I threw a lot of numbers at you there, but please understand the two most significant ones have to do with the governor, whose name sums to the 48th prime, the shooting on a date with 48 numerology, in office for 4 years, 8 days, 4 months, 8 days before Houston's anniversary, and 48 weeks before Texas's anniversary. This is the exact type of thing when we're talking about news by the numbers and the fake stream media. And then, of course, the second one is this alignment. How the word conspiracy equals 123 and 147. This is the same as the gematria of the two suspects. Rogina Nicholas. 123 reduction, 147 reverse reduction. The mayor of Houston in office for 1,123 days, 123 days after his birthday. The governor of Texas in office for 1,470 days. These are the types of alignments that simply do not occur naturally. This is the work of man, seeking to control our minds and change our opinions about guns in this nation, telling us that we need to be protected by the police, that only they can be trusted with large weapons. So I hope that was clear enough to anybody who may be new to this, but absolutely more news by the numbers, as we always get 100% of the time. All right, everybody, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, as content of this type has been censored in the past. Thanks for watching, everybody. Keep seeking and speaking that truth. See ya.